You think you're the peak of human evolution. You're smarter, you're taller, and you're living longer than anyone in history. But if you were dropped into the world of 30,000 years ago, you wouldn't just be the weakest person in the tribe. You would be dead within a week. We look at our ancestors as primitive, hunched, and small. We look at ourselves as the final, optimized version of a species. But the fossil record tells a much more humbling story. We didn't evolve into giants. We evolved into something much, much smaller. For nearly 200,000 years, humans lived as hunter-gatherers. And if you look at the skeletons from that time, the story they tell is one of physical dominance. They were tall. Their bones were thick, dense, and hardened by a lifetime of constant movement. They had jaws that could handle raw meat and teeth that stayed straight until the end. But then, about 10,000 years ago, we did something that changed everything. We stopped following the food, and we started growing it. We call this the Neolithic Revolution. We call it progress. But for the human body, it was a disaster. The moment we switched from a diverse diet of wild game, roots, berries, and nuts to a diet dominated by a single crop, usually wheat, barley, or rice, our bodies began to change. And they didn't change for the better. Almost overnight, the average height of human beings plummeted. Archaeological studies from the Levant to the Americas show the same pattern. As farming spread, human stature dropped by as much as 4 to 6 inches. 4 inches? Think about that. That isn't a small statistical fluctuation. That is a massive structural degradation of a species. Why did this happen? It comes down to one word: nutrients. A hunter-gatherer's diet was rich in high-quality protein, diverse fats, and a wide array of micronutrients. A farmer's diet, by contrast, was a carbohydrate trap. It was calorie-dense, yes. It allowed us to have more children, to settle in one place, to build cities, and to form armies. But it was nutritionally hollow. We were getting more calories, but we were starving for the minerals and proteins needed to build a giant. Our spines began to compress. Our jawlines receded. Because our food became softer, porridges and boiled grains, our jaws didn't have to work as hard, and they stopped developing to their full potential. This is why you likely have crowded teeth. Your mouth is too small for the teeth you have because your jaw never reached its evolutionary size. You aren't just modern. You're the result of 10,000 years of jaw atrophy. But the physical cost was only the beginning. As we transitioned to agriculture, we also became sedentary. We stopped walking 12 miles a day. We stopped climbing. We stopped the constant rhythmic movement that built our bone density. The heavy, robust frames of our ancestors became a liability in a life spent hunched over a field. Evolution is a ruthless accountant. It doesn't keep features that you don't use. It trims the fat. It strips away the armor you don't need. We became smaller, lighter, and more brittle because that was what the farm required. We weren't optimizing for peak performance anymore. We were optimizing for population density. And this is where the progress narrative breaks down. We assume that because we have more people, more cities, and more technology, we are the winners. But if you measure success by individual health, by physical capacity, by the ability to survive in a world without a supply chain, we are the shadows of the people we used to be. We live in a world of chronic disease that our ancestors never knew. Arthritis, metabolic syndrome, dental decay, autoimmune disorders. These are the symptoms of a species living in an environment it was never meant to occupy. We are living in a prototype of civilization that is still trying to figure out how to keep us healthy, while our biology is still screaming for the savannah. So are we really the peak? Or are we just the most specialized version of a species that traded its strength for stability? We spent 10,000 years building a world that fits our brains, but in the process, we broke the bodies that carry them. We look back at the giants of the past, the robust, tall, healthy people of the hunter-gatherer era, and we call them primitive. But maybe they were the real success story. Maybe they were the ones who actually knew how to be human. We're still looking for a way to fix it. We design ergonomic chairs, we buy supplements, we obsess over fitness, we search for diets that mimic the ancient ones. We are trying, in every way we can, to reclaim the health we lost when we picked up the plow. But the truth is deeper than a fad diet. The truth is that we are a species out of sync. We are giants in our minds, living in the bodies of survivors, walking through a world that was never designed for our comfort, but for our survival. And every time you feel the ache in your back, or the fatigue that doesn't go away, or the confusion of a life that feels like it's missing something fundamental, that isn't just you. That is the ghost of your ancestors, reminding you of the height, the strength, and the freedom we traded away, one harvest at a time.